destroyed hundreds of millions of dollars worth of IP for Disney, but she also has destroyed her career and the careers of anybody who worked on the movie.
EV Magazine wrote on X, when you compare how Rachel Zegler spoke about Snow White to how other actresses who played live-action Disney princesses spoke about their character, really underlines just how poorly she carried herself.
Weekend 2 delivers even more box office humiliation for Snow White.
Disney just pulled the plug on one of the boldest casting moves in recent memory, and the internet practically imploded. Rachel Zegler, the actress already at the center of a whirlwind of online controversies, is officially stepping into the role of Elsa in Disney's upcoming live-action Frozen reboot. Within minutes of the announcement, the internet did what it does best: explode into chaos. The official reveal came via a sleek Disney press release paired with a cryptic teaser image, a frosty silhouette glowing icy blue, captioned with just 2 words, "Let her." It didn't take long before # Let Her Go started trending worldwide. But this wasn't just some viral fan excitement. The hashtag carried heavy sarcasm, with thousands of users using it to mock, criticize, and question Disney's decision to hand over one of its most iconic characters to one of its most polarizing actresses. On X, formerly Twitter, reactions ranged from confusion to outright fury. One user wrote, "So we're giving Elsa to the girl who dragged Snow White through the mud? Cool." Another went viral for posting a collage of Elsa fan art next to Ziegler's red carpet photos, with the caption, "Not my queen." Memes spread like wildfire. TikTok creators jumped on the trend, overlaying Zegler interviews with Frozen soundtrack parodies, turning Let It Go into Let Her Not. Reddit threads flooded with speculation about the reboot's plot, whether it would diverge dramatically from the original, or whether this was all just Disney's latest attempt to stir the pot and ride the wave of outrage marketing. And here's the thing, it worked, because as much as people claimed to be outraged, they were all talking. Every scroll, click, share, and sarcastic stitch only pushed the news further into the spotlight.
Young Rachel Zegler, I would say, probably is at the point where she's believing in the excitement of it all. And who can blame her? Who can blame her? Because it is very exciting to be told you're brilliant all day long if some point in the past you felt that you were worthless, as I did.
Disney had dropped the casting like a bomb, and the aftershocks were echoing across every corner of the internet. But behind the memes and mockery, something else was brewing. A deeper frustration that had nothing to do with Frozen at all. It had everything to do with Rachel Zegler, and a storm she never really escaped. And to understand why this casting announcement caused such a meltdown, we need to go back. Because Rachel Zegler wasn't just trending for her singing voice. She's been at the center of Disney drama before, and that snowball started rolling long before she ever slipped into Elsa's shoes. It all started with apples and castles, but it ended in digital fire. Rachel Zegler's first real clash with the internet happened when she was cast as the iconic princess in Disney's live-action remake of Snow White. From the very beginning, the casting drew attention. A Latina actress playing a character named Snow White sparked debates about Disney's evolving vision for its classics. But it wasn't the casting itself that lit the match. It was what came after.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story. With a guy who literally stalks her.
Say it louder so your other eye can hear you.
During the film's early promotion, Zegler sat down for several interviews, and clips from those quickly turned into social media wildfire. In one, she bluntly said, "It's not 1937 anymore. She's not going to be saved by a prince. And she's not dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be."
It's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White.
That laugh.
That is
not going to be saved by
You
the
wrote
prince.
it?
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
It sounded empowering on paper, but to many Disney purists, it came across as condescending. Online critics accused Zegler of throwing shade at the original story, Walt Disney's legacy, and even the fans themselves. They felt she was mocking the very fairy tale that gave her the spotlight. And from there, it just snowballed. Clips were cut, remixed, and re-uploaded with mocking captions. Why did she even take the role if she hates it so much? Became a common sentiment across comment sections. YouTube personalities jumped on the trend with reaction videos titled things like "Rachel Zegler destroys Snow White" or "Disney's self-sabotage queen," and the timing couldn't have been worse. The backlash was already mounting when Zegler's controversial tweet landed in August 2024. A follow-up message casually added minutes after thanking fans for the Snow White trailer reception. This tweet sparked an entirely different level of controversy. Supporters praised her bravery. Critics accused her of socializing a children's film platform. The discourse spiraled fast. By the time Snow White actually hit theaters in March 2025, the film had been drowned out by drama. Even those who hadn't seen a single frame already had opinions, not about the story, but about Zegler. She had become the conversation.
I mean, journalists weren't even invited to show up at the red carpet for the premiere because they were afraid she was going to say something that would hurt the movie even more. Hollywood became so confused over identity that it turned on itself because insiders say the industry never held any true values.
You know, I think it's really on her to go back and correct the record now because she was spreading a lot of fear and disinformation.
And now, just months later, Disney hands her another crown, arguably an even bigger one. To fans still reeling from what they saw as a betrayal of the Snow White legacy, this felt like deja vu. The same actress, the same studio, the same backlash, again. And it wasn't just a repeat. It was escalation, because Elsa isn't just a Disney princess. She's a modern icon, and giving that role to someone already steeped in controversy, that didn't just raise eyebrows, it detonated the fan base. But this wasn't just about past mistakes, because behind the criticism lies a deeper question. Is Zegler actually the problem, or is Disney playing a much bigger game? Let's be honest, this isn't Disney's first internet firestorm. In fact, by now, it feels like they're setting their own house on fire just to see who shows up with a camera.
But also, what is beautiful about the original Snow White too is the hand-drawn animation, right? Is the beauty of the cartoon. Yeah, and it's really there's an authenticity to it.
I love what you said about wanting to entertain audiences. Critics saying Disney's too woke, but you're just putting out storytelling.
We are. Look, I don't really like the term woke because I think it's an umbrella term that I'm not 100% sure I even know what it means.
Rachel Zegler's travel expenses for singing overseas when it came to different countries besides the United States. This really is an overspending spree by Disney CEO Bob Iger.
Over the past few years, Disney's live-action remakes have stirred more drama than excitement. Whether it was Halle Bailey as Ariel, Gal Gadot in Snow White, or now Rachel Zegler as Elsa, every casting announcement has felt less like a celebration and more like a lightning strike. And with each one, the internet reacts the same way. Outrage, think pieces, and weeks of algorithm-fueled chaos. But here's where things get weird, because the outrage, it doesn't seem to hurt them. In fact, if anything, it boosts them. When Halle Bailey was announced as the Little Mermaid, the backlash was immediate. People questioned her race, her look, even her ability to fit the role. But when the movie hit theaters, it crushed at the box office and dominated social media. Zegler's own Snow White, despite the controversy, is still projected to pull huge global numbers thanks to all the attention it got. So now the question becomes, is Disney doing this on purpose? It's a theory that's been floating around the internet for a while now, that Disney has shifted from pleasing everyone to provoking everyone. That by casting actors who spark debate, they're not making mistakes, they're generating headlines. They're hijacking the culture war to keep people talking. And in that light, Zegler's casting as Elsa starts to make a twisted kind of sense. She's already controversial, already trending, already dividing people in a way that guarantees attention. Disney doesn't have to introduce her to the public. The public already has an opinion. All Disney has to do is roll the dice and let the chaos unfold.
I was looking at the chat, and some of you guys were like, we need a few less Snow White-like movies. I couldn't agree with you more. Like, all this woke stuff has to end. And you know what? There's a reason for it to end right now, and it's in part because this stupid movie, Snow White, just totally bombed at the box office. They spent $270 million on this thing. They're not going to make their money back. Now the producer's son is coming out and blaming the whole thing on Rachel Zegler. He's not wrong. I mean, Rachel Zegler tanked this. There's a lot of other reasons they tanked it because, you know.
And if we're being brutally honest, it's working. Every quote, tweet, every angry YouTube rant, every fan edit, it's all free advertising. Whether you love the choice or hate it, you're watching, you're sharing, you're reacting. But that brings us to a deeper, almost unsettling question. Where does this end? At what point does controversy stop being clever and start backfiring? Because sure, attention is good, but when fans start walking away, when trust in the brand erodes, when even kids are caught in the crossfire of drama, that's not just controversy, that's a crisis. And Zegler, she's right in the middle of it. Here's the thing about Rachel Zegler. Nobody's neutral. To one half of the internet, she's the bold voice of a new generation. Fearless, outspoken, and unapologetically herself. She speaks her mind, she stands her ground, and she's not afraid to ruffle feathers. To the other half, she's Disney's latest mistake, a symbol of Hollywood's tone-deaf obsession with controversy controversy over quality, and a lightning rod for everything fans feel they're losing in modern storytelling. The divide is deep and growing deeper. Fans who supported Zegler through Snow White doubled down with Elsa, flooding social media with hashtags like #QueenZegler, praising her vocal chops and charisma. They see her as a breath of fresh air, someone who isn't afraid to challenge the outdated princess stereotype. One viral TikTok put it like this: "Let the haters cry. Zegler can sing circles around them, but the pushback? It's relentless." Across forums, YouTube, and even fan pages, there's growing frustration. Some feel Disney is forcing the same actress down everyone's throats, despite the drama. Others accuse her of using the spotlight to push her own agenda instead of respecting the legacy of the characters she plays. One Reddit thread titled "Disney's Zegler obsession is getting weird" racked up thousands of angry comments. And then there's the merch angle. Shortly after the casting announcement, Disney dropped a Frozen reimagined merchandise teaser, rebranded Elsa dolls with Zegler's likeness. The backlash wasn't just online. Parents reportedly returned items, fan groups boycotted pre-orders, and the phrase "Not my Elsa" started showing up on unofficial t-shirts and mugs. But let's be real, this isn't just about casting. It's not even about Zegler, not entirely. It's about what she represents. For some, she's a symbol of progress. For others, she's a sign that beloved characters are being hijacked by marketing. And caught in the middle? Disney. Because no matter what they say publicly, behind the scenes, they know exactly what's happening. They're watching the reactions, the trends, the revenue spikes. And the question no one can quite answer is this: is Zegler being celebrated or strategically used? That theory, that Disney knows exactly what it's doing, is gaining traction fast. But if it's true, then this next part isn't just casting chaos, it's calculated. Let's talk strategy, or maybe manipulation. Because the moment Zegler's name was dropped as Elsa, some fans weren't shocked. They were suspicious. The response felt too familiar, the outrage too immediate, the memes already lined up, the reactions almost too fast. It didn't feel like a casting choice. It felt like a playbook move. And here's the kicker: what if it was? Think about the pattern. Every time Disney drops a new live-action announcement, it follows the same cycle. A bold casting decision, a wave of controversy, social media meltdown, and then a flood of content, trailers, merch, TikToks, media interviews, all boosted by the chaos. The algorithm eats it up. Fans rage, fans cheer, but everyone talks. It's outrage as a marketing tool. And if that sounds wild, just look at the numbers. Engagement around Zegler's Elsa announcement outpaced the original Frozen 2 teaser by 2-to-1 on Twitter within the first 48 hours. Hashtags like #LetHerGo and Frozen Reboot trended in multiple countries. YouTubers racked up millions of views reacting to it, from breakdowns of her singing ability to full-blown conspiracy theories about Disney's agenda. In other words, the internet did Disney's promo for them, for free. And if you're sitting in a Disney boardroom, what's the downside? You're getting headlines, attention, and viral visibility, all without spending a dime on traditional marketing. The controversy becomes the campaign. But here's where it gets messy, because while outrage might spike attention, it also erodes trust. Longtime Disney fans are starting to tune out, not because they hate the cast, but because they're tired of the fight, tired of feeling baited, tired of beloved characters being dropped into culture wars like pawns on a corporate chessboard. So now the backlash has evolved. It's no longer just Zegler's not Elsa, it's we're done with Disney playing games. And while Disney might think it's playing 4D chess, it's easy to forget that audiences can walk away. They've done it before, and if the trust breaks completely, no amount of viral engagement can save a sinking ship. But here's the twist: even with all the noise, there's still one question no one can answer. What if Zegler actually nails it? Because that possibility changes everything. For all the backlash, all the hashtags, and all the noise, there's one thing people seem to be forgetting. Rachel Zegler can actually sing. This isn't someone who got plucked from obscurity or tossed into a role for shock value. This is an actress who stole scenes in West Side Story, won over Spielberg himself, and earned praise from industry pros who don't hand out compliments lightly. Her voice? Powerful, controlled, emotional, technically impressive. And let's be real, Let It Go is no walk in the park. Fans may argue about her attitude, her interviews, but very few are questioning her vocal chops. And when it comes to Elsa, that matters more than anything. Because Frozen isn't just a story about icy powers and sisterhood, it's a musical showcase. Elsa is her songs. If Zegler nails Let It Go, or whatever new power anthem Disney crafts for the reboot, it could flip the entire narrative. And not just online. Audiences have short memories when they're moved emotionally. A performance that gives you chills, the good kind, can silence even the loudest critics. And it wouldn't be the first time that happened. Remember when Heath Ledger was cast as the Joker? Fans rioted. Forums melted down. Worst casting ever. But after The Dark Knight, no one said a word. He became iconic. Same story with Robert Pattinson as Batman, or even Halle Bailey as Ariel. The internet eats itself alive in the lead-up, but when the movie drops, talent still speaks louder than tweets. Zegler might be walking into a storm, but if she walks out with a stunning performance, the same fans mocking her now might be buying tickets twice. The same YouTubers trashing her casting could turn around with, "Actually, I was wrong" thumbnails. And maybe that's why Disney isn't flinching. They're betting on the performance, betting on the voice, betting that when the lights dim and the music swells, no one's going to care about a tweet from 2024. But whether that risk pays off, that's a risk no studio takes lightly. And that leads us to the real question. Not just can Zegler pull it off, but what happens to Disney if she doesn't? Right now, Disney's walking a razor-thin line between reinvention and rupture, between evolution and erasure. With Frozen, they're not just rebooting a hit, they're touching a modern myth. Elsa isn't just another princess, she's a pop culture powerhouse, an anthem, a symbol, a billion-dollar franchise carved in ice. And casting Rachel Zegler in the middle of her most chaotic public moment feels less like a creative decision and more like a high-stakes game. If Zegler delivers, it's a Cinderella story for the digital age. Redemption, talent, and triumph over internet. Disney wins, fans eventually forgive, and the reboot becomes another money-printing machine. But if it flops, if the performance falls flat, or the controversy overshadows the art, then Frozen isn't just a reboot, it's a rupture, a reminder that even the biggest franchises can collapse under the weight of too many bold decisions, and too little trust. Because audiences might tolerate change, they might even embrace it, but what they won't accept is feeling ignored, or worse, manipulated. Right now, Frozen Reboot isn't just a movie. It's a mirror, reflecting everything that's right and wrong with Disney's current era. The push for progress, the chase for headlines, the fine line between risk and recklessness. And at the center of that storm, one actress. Loved, hated, heard, judged. Rachel Zegler didn't ask for this role in the culture war, but now, like it or not, she's its most visible soldier. And when Frozen finally hits theaters, one thing's for sure. The audience won't just be watching Elsa. They'll be watching everything. So what do you think? Is this casting a mistake or a masterpiece in the making? Will Zegler silence the critics or add another chapter to the internet's longest-running feud with Disney? Drop your take in the comments. And remember, this is just the beginning, because in the world of reboots, nothing ever really melts away.